Hello. In this video I'm going to be doing questions 38 through 49 in the final exam review packet. 38 says, look at the rectangle below. Which expression below could represent the perimeter of the rectangle? So perimeter is where you add the sides. It's the outside length. Okay? So it might help to visualize the problem by labeling the other two sides. In a rectangle, opposite sides are equal or congruent to each other. So we have that, and we're going to add the sides together. Okay, so there's many ways you could set it up. I'm going to actually set it up vertically, like this, and add them together. So when I add all the numbers, I have -1 plus -1, which is -2, plus 2, which is 0, plus 2, which is 2. Then I have 3x plus 3x, which is 6x, plus x, which is 7x, plus another x, which is 8x. So I'm left with 8x plus 2 as the perimeter of the shape, which is A. Just remember that x by itself is really the same thing as 1x and 1x. So 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 8. Okay? Okay. Number 39, look at the rectangle below. Which expression could represent the area of the rectangle? So that's where you have to multiply. We could call it base times height or length times width. Okay, it doesn't matter what you do. So this is another example of where I'm going to use what I call the box method. So we'll say x minus 3 up here, though if you wrote 2x plus 1 up there, you'd be fine. And we're going to multiply 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x minus times -3 is -6x. X times 1 is just x or 1x. Doesn't matter which one you write down. 1 times -3 is -3. So when I write all these out, I get 2x squared minus 6x plus x minus 3. I can combine these two terms, and I get 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. Now I'm going to go look at the answers, because at this point, until this point, we really don't want to look at the answers because that's just going to cause problems. You want to do all the work before you look at the answers. My answer is A. Okay? Okay, number 40, look at the figure below. Write an expression in terms of actually the area of the shaded region. So this is going to kind of combine what we've been doing. The first thing we need to do is find the area of the large shape. So a little bullet there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply x plus 11 times x plus 6. Okay, I'm going to use the box method to do that. When I find the area of a shaded region and there's a piece inside the shape that is blank, is not shaded, you're always going to be subtracting. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the area of the outside and the area of the inside and subtract the two. So x times x is x squared, 6 times x is 6x. X times 11 is 11x, and 11 times 6 is 66. So I get x squared plus 6 plus 11 is 17x plus 66. Okay. Now I'm going to do the area of the inside region, which is x times x plus 5. I could do a box method here as well. We talked to my students, we talked about how you could do a 1 by 2 box. You could also apply what's called the distributive property. Either way is fine. X times x is x squared. 5 times x is 5x. So we have x squared plus 5x. Okay? So now I'm going to subtract the two. And to find the shaded region, I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to say x squared plus 17x plus 66 minus x squared plus 5x. 66 minus nothing is nothing. 17x minus 5x gives me 12x. X squared minus x squared is 0. So 12x plus 66 is the correct answer. Okay? That is the expression of the area of the shaded region. Okay, so the next set of problems are going to involve what I call the ABC method, but we're going to be doing a lot of factoring of a trinomial. Okay? And so here's how we do it. We label numbers A, B, and C, because what we have is we have all of these problems are written in this format. You have ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? So the first thing we do is we identify the a's, the b's, and the c's. In this case, we have a is 1 because it's 1x squared, b is 1 because it's 1x, and then c is -12. And what I do is I find two numbers and multiply to equal -12 because that's my a times c. And then I find two numbers that add to equal 1, because that's my b value. Okay, so sometimes you have to go through and try to think about what factors equal a times c. What equals 12? Well, I know 12 times 1, I know 2 times 6, and I know 3 times 4 equals 12. So 4 and 3 are going to help us get to 1. 12 is negative, which means one of our numbers has to be negative, but 1 is positive, so it's going to be negative 3 times 4 is negative 12, negative 3 plus 4 is 1. The numbers have to be the same on both rows. Okay? I then take those two numbers and put them over the a value, which in this case is 1. And I'm going to get fractions. I'm going to use those fractions to write my terms. When I have negative 3 over 1, that equals 1x, the 1 representing the coefficient of the x, minus 3. And the other one is going to be 1x, or x, plus 4. So I've just factored that trinomial, and now I look to answer the question, which binomial below is a factor of x squared plus x minus 12? And I have x minus 3 and x plus 4, and x minus 3 is the only one of those two in the answers. Okay? Okay. Now 42 and 43 we're going to factor, but they're a little bit different in that you're factoring by using what's called the greatest common factor. Okay, so 42, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out all the factors of these numbers. So 6 is 2 times 3. The next to the third is x times x times x. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing on 30x squared. 30 is 5 times 6, which is really 2 times 3 times 5, with 2 x's. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to circle what they have in common. So I circle a 2, a 3, and 2 x's. So that's 2 times 3 times x, or 6x squared. Okay? So that is what the greatest common factor is, and now I'm going to write that outside a set of parentheses, and I'm going to put what's left over inside the parentheses. So the part that's left over, the 6x to the third, is just an x. Okay? There's a subtraction sign there, so I'm going to put the subtraction sign inside the parentheses. And what's left over on the bottom, or what's left over from a 30x squared, is just 5. So here's my answer, 6x squared times x minus 5. Okay? Do the same thing for number 43. So I'll do it up here. In this case, it would be a 5 with 3 x's and 2 y's. And then with the 15x squared y to the third, that would be 3 times 5 with 3 x's and 3 y's. And just like down below, I'm going to circle they have in common. So they have a 5 in common. Looks like they have 2 x's in common. Sorry, they have 3 x's in common. Okay. Oops, I made a mistake. I wonder if anyone saw that mistake. So let me do this over again here. I had one too many x's on the second one, on the 15 part. This is a 2 here, so it should be 3 times 5 with 2 x's and 3 y's. I apologize about that. Now again, I'm going to circle what they have in common. And they have 2 x's in common and 2 y's in common. So I circled a 5, an x, a y, and a y. So that's going to be 5 x squared y squared outside. What's left over is an x on the top and on the bottom, and it's separated by a plus. So I'm going to put a plus here. It's 3y. That is the correct answer for number 43. Okay? Okay, so in 44 and 45, I'm going to use the ABC method for both problems. Okay? So let's just do that, and I'll write 44 out here. I have x squared minus 17x plus 30. So again, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to equal a times c, which in this case is 30, and add to equal negative 17, which is b. Well, 30 is going to be 30 times 1, or 15 times 2, or 10 times 3, or 6 times 5. 15 times 2 can help me get to 17. Now, a negative times a negative is a positive, so hopefully you see that negative 15 times negative 2 is positive 30, and negative 15 plus negative 2 is negative 17. Okay? So just like before, I put those values over my a value, which is 1, and that's going to give me x minus 15 times x minus 2. And that is my answer for number 44. Okay. 45 is a little different because a does not equal 1. So it just is a little bit different at the end. And actually at the beginning when you're trying to figure out what times what equals a times c. So this is going to be negative 10. Again, because a is negative 2 this time, so 2 times negative 5. And then what plus what equals 9. Okay, well what times what equals 10? It's either 10 times 1 or 5 times 2. It's going to be a combination of 10 and 1. Since B9 is positive, we know that 10 has to be positive. So it's going to be 10 times negative 1 and 10 plus negative 1. Now here's where it gets a little bit different. We put it over the a values. Okay? I boxed the negative 1 over 2 because that is simplified, but 10 over 2 simplifies to 5 over 1. So my answers here are going to be x plus 5, and then the answer here is going to be actually 2x minus 1 with the 2 in the bottom and the negative 1 in the numerator. Okay? We're actually going to stop here on this video, so this video is only going to go up to 45.